work as a senior information developer at SAP Labs. I have more than 11 years of experience working in domain as a technical writer in domains like telecom, aerospace, ERP-based applications, and IoT applications as well. Thank you. So I have with me my colleague Suresh, who would also help me with the presentation.
Hi, I'm Suresh, and I have about 6 years of experience as technical writer at SAP, and I work in domains like data warehousing and analytics. So, part of today's session on IoT, we have two parts to this. The first part we will explain to you on why IoT is important in the future, and the second part we'll cover on what are the strategies that we at SAP believe that others could adopt in developing user content. And so when we got this scenario for IoT documentation, we looked at how other companies are handling IoT. So we have also information on how other companies are handling. We'll share that information. But in general, first Akhil will take you through the importance of IoT, and then I'll come back and explain to you the strategies that we adopted for IoT.
Thank you, Suresh. So SAP has a huge customer base. So when it comes to IoT, we have a huge portfolio to address various industries like energy and natural resources, logistics, manufacturing, healthcare, and the list goes on. So we are in the phase of coming up with solutions to meet the needs of all these industries. Okay, now let's quickly look at the agenda. So we'll first brief you on what is Internet of Things. Then we'll see how documentation evolved over the era. Then we'll try to understand why the traditional standard documentation won't suffice the needs of an IoT-based application. And finally, we'll share with you some of the new approaches that we intend to take for addressing the requirement in the IoT space. So, to begin with, what is IoT? I'm sure that most of you here would be aware of the standard definition of IoT, like what it stands for. But nevertheless, IoT is the future, and still companies which are still moving into IoT. So let's look at the definition. SAP defines IoT as a network of objects that contain embedded technology to sense and interact with the environment that is around it, and even among themselves to exchange information to make our lives comfortable. So what you see here is there is connectivity, there is sensing, there is action, there is storage, there is analysis, and finally there is sharing. So now let's also look at some standard definitions available over the internet. Gartner defines IoT as the network of physical objects that contain embedded technology to communicate and sense or interact with their internal states or external environment. Similarly, Wikipedia defines IoT as a network of physical devices, vehicles, and buildings and other items embedded with electronics, software, sensor, actuators, network connectivity that enable these objects to collect and exchange data. So in layman terms, to keep it simple, it's nothing but there is a huge network of objects that are able to talk to each other and take decisions with minimal human intervention. And if required, there's a human intervention. So what you see here is a basic stack diagram of an IoT landscape. So at the lowest layer, we have a device or a hardware. So a device or hardware, it could be anything. It could be a simple motor, or even machines like a washing machine, a geyser, a vending machine, anything for that, which is to be checked. Then to fetch the relevant information from these devices, we have sensors and the network. So they together form the connectivity layer. So after this information is fetched, you need to store it somewhere. So we have a huge database. So we have the database platform, especially as SAP is popular in this. We have the huge HANA database platform which has been developed in the market already. And whatever data which is collected, it is in raw form now. It's unstructured. So to make it into meaningful, or to convert it into meaningful information and present it to meet customer needs or user specific needs, we need to develop applications. So we have a development application platform for developing the application. And finally, on top of it, everything, the UI stands, the applications, for us to understand what has been fetched and what necessary actions to be taken. So if you look carefully, the layers 1 and 2 together form the operations technology part, the connectivity and the device and hardware. And the layers above it are the IT part, which most of us are interested in. So IT and OT both together mix to form the IoT based application. It's as simple as that. So now let's try to understand how IoT plays a vital role in our day-to-day life. So the basic features of an IoT are artificial intelligence, connectivity, storage, active engagement, and finally cheap and small devices. So why do I say that IoT is capable for is artificially intelligent? Let's take two simple use cases. Assume you have say a refrigerator, a normal refrigerator in your house, and you convert it from a normal device to a smart device, capable enough to raise a purchase request to the vendor of your choice when the level of milk goes down to a certain level. Similarly, we were talking about non-living things now. We spoke about machines, we spoke about vehicles, we spoke about goods. But another major area wherein IoT is now going at a faster pace is the healthcare part. Healthcare, it is developing in such a pace that earlier we used to have only normal measuring devices, which you would have observed when you visited a hospital. Like some would be measuring your pulse, blood count, or whatever. From that, we have come up with smart wearable devices that can periodically check or take some measurements from your body and check if there are any variations, and at the same time inform you and your doctor that something bad is going to happen. It could be on the heart rate, or it could be on the sugar level, or whatever it is. Your doctor can also contact you well in advance, and he can prescribe the right medicine for you. This is especially useful when you have senior citizens at home. So now again, if you observe, now we have a scenario where the senior citizens are living alone. So you need some of these at home to make their life safer. So now how documentation evolved. So for this we have to just go back, try to understand the industrial revolution. So this is the fourth industrial revolution that we are facing. In the first phase, we saw that water and steam were used for manufacturing. Then came electricity for mass production. We started producing in mass all the goods and materials. Then the smart IT came into picture, and along with IT, electronics came, and both of them together helped in automation of various processes. Then finally, we have a 4.0, which is the cyber world now, IoT world. So if you look at it carefully, when we reach stage, the third stage, and when we move to the fourth stage, internet was common across, which is the primary requirement for IoT. And then people were using internet to a great extent. For example, people, whatever they wanted, like information, documentation, they started to send relevant information to some central location or its user, or the admin, you would say. So we had scenarios like, if you store something else, like instead of milk, you store something else in the fridge, like tomatoes or something, the machine could detect and inform the company that it is being misused by the shopkeeper. So then it's not just the machines being connected to the net, the machines are connected among themselves also. So a coffee machine can request something from a nearby some other machine. Similarly, a watch could tell something to the geyser. We saw all these examples. Now, IoT has developed so rapidly and is so helpful to users that no company can avoid moving to IoT. There are a lot of reasons for that, but we'll list out few of the reasons here. One major reason is the basic infrastructure which is required for IoT is already in place. The basic infrastructure is the internet, the Wi-Fi and things like that. Today, if you observe, more than half of the world is on the internet. Next, the devices that are used, that are required for IoT, like for example the sensors and things like that, they are becoming cheaper day by day. That again, Moore's law, I'm not getting into it. It is to support that. Then IoT devices come with easy plug and play functionality. If you observe, you can download any IoT based application to your mobile phone and start using it just like that. You have to just link it to the or pair it to the required device and use it. With the introduction of IP6, we can plug in more number of devices. You can connect more number of them. And finally, the major area, the big data. So you have collected huge chunk of information. Now you have various tools and applications to analyze them. For example, at SAP, we use SAP HANA for this. So now that we have understood what is IoT, the benefits of IoT, and IoT is the future, let's see why standard documentation is not sufficient for IoT. So let's take two simple use cases. One is smart home. That's a smart home is something which you have a lot of devices that are able to take care of itself. And then a rail.
So anything, sir, I'd like to hear from you, anything differently that you've tried or to address IoT scenarios or IoT use cases as an information architecture? I'll just make this session a little interactive now. I'll explain you some of the strategies that we think will work for IoT scenarios and something that you've tried. You could also share it with the rest of the audience so that we get a better picture. Something that you try to address for IoT scenarios?
Watson. We tried a different strategy for the connected car as well as the Watson strategy for information governance. So where the information shared across multiple devices are analyzed, and one thing is the heartbeat of a patient's over a period of time from the for instance, if you have your gene or your blood samples after the birth have been deposited and you have a gene analysis done, so what healthcare Watson will analyze is like it will categorize or read your senses, and based on the senses at what age you are posed to may lead to some problem. So before a certain period, it will tell you based on your cardiac signals.
Okay, but anything different you've tried from the documentation perspective to address this scenario?
Yes, actually, from the doc, your historical record is stated, and based on the information, what kind of information you have to push to the end user. For instance, if you have a smart device, based on the device, the information will be shared.
Okay.
So you need to register your device and measure the hardware address being picked up.
Okay.
Based on the hardware address, it will push the information.
Okay. Perfect. This also sets an example for my next slide. Interactive graphics, third virtual reality, and then the augmented reality. I'll concentrate more on the tag technologies because most of you are familiar with the other three. And with tag technologies, I also give you some demos and other things. So what are these tag technologies? Before I get there, like Akhil said, there are two parts to the IoT. One is the IT part and the OT part. The OT part is the hardware part of it and the IT part. We still believe that the traditional documents holds very well for the IT part of it, where we still continue to document the software that work on the IoT projects or IoT applications. But for the hardware part, we still, because there are a lot of connected objects, there are sensors, we have to look a little different on how we're going to document these particular objects. So we have three new things. We have tag technologies, interactive graphics, and augmented reality and virtual reality. I think we have to combine all of these things to get a good IoT documentation out to the market. And let's take proximity demo. So what it's doing right now is it's scanning for beacons around it, and you've seen that Akhil's beacon is recognized here. So now I can give any kind of information to Akhil's beacon and say probably if this beacon is in a retail outlet, and if Akhil wants to shop something around there, he walks near, I can push some kind of notifications to this beacon. So what I'm doing is just like this. As he's walking, the beacon is moving away. There's one beacon there on the table there. So there's some kind of notifications. As he moves, you can. Sorry.
Shoes.
Yeah. So this is one kind of notification that I can push through beacons. So think of a simple IoT scenario where we could use this. It could be a server room. Server room have a lot of servers, and each of these servers will have different kind of hardware, software installed on it. And when a technician is walking in it, a beacon can send him a signal that is relevant to that particular server. So he knows in hand that this is a server, this is the operating system, this is the health of that machine. All this information you can notify the technician who's entering into that server room. That's one IoT scenario where we could use beacons. I'll quickly move to the next one. So what I've done here is I've put very basic information into these tags. Any smartphone, most of these smartphones these days have NFC readers within it, can read the data what is in those tags. And without any internet, without any Bluetooth or anything, you just use NFC reader, you switch on the NFC reader on your phone. NFCs could be used to trigger any application on your phone. So if it has an ID, you can launch an application on your phone, you just enter the ID of that. It's the URL. It's opening the URL. So you can put different kind of information. You can just write a simple text file or things like that. User interface where we can deliver our documentation. One approach is using the interactive graphics. So multiple examples. So one which we've used within SAP. Objects, connectivity and sensors, we need such kind of user interface in our documentation where we can allow users to click and take them to relevant information. So interactive graphics plays a very good, very key role, especially in IoT scenarios. There are a lot of other interactive graphic examples, but I'm not in a position to show that.
Of the software installed, your servers, your hardware configurations on all the customer, on the customer seats that are available, manufacturing industry. So what we could use is something known as recommendations, where the health of the system is monitored, and based on if a graphics card is out of basic or the product is crashing because you don't have the right configuration, it sends back something known as alerts or recommendations to your admin on the dashboard.
Yeah.
So he knows that there are out of his 50 machines.
Yeah. Just to the example that Sir quoted, if it's about a patient's health, you could have these NFC tags right at the patient's bed. So a doctor who comes in can just scan the tag, he gets a complete information on it, and all this without any internet. So that's the advantage.
For that reader, is there a data limit?
Yes, there is a limit. These are very small chips, can show very simple text files or URLs, but the important thing is they can launch an application on your phone. So if you have the help application on your phone, this NFC can trigger the help application.
So that does not require internet again?
No, if your documentation is offline as an application in the phone, so it triggers that application. You use the ID that is there in the tag, you enter it. It depends on how you program the application. So you can program it to work offline, complete application is on your phone, it triggers that application. So for example, if it's a troubleshooting information, you have the troubleshooting ID. So you use that ID in that application and gives you the information there.
I think there was an Amazon Go ad recently.
Perfect.
They have actually made NFC obsolete. I think.
Yes.
Completely.
Yes. So in this example, complete shopping end-to-end. As soon as you enter the store, until you come out, completely is taken care. The Amazon Go tracks what all items you shop, the billing, and the transfer. Even the payment is handled by Amazon Go.
No distance limit.
No distance. Nothing. Can you take this offline?
Yeah, I think.
Thank you so much.